The OWCS North America Stage 2 playoffs are set to start this weekend, and things are somehow even crazier than the last stage. 3 spots to the Esports World Cup are on the line between 6 teams, but the competition feels tighter than ever before. Unlike all of last year, and to an even greater extent than Stage 1, this is a multi-team race. North America may never be more wide open than what you're about to witness, and the next 2 weeks could be absolute madness. Today I'm giving you my predictions on who I believe advances through this madness, alongside a recap of the ridiculous stage we witnessed, and a vibe check to see where everybody stands. Let's jump right into this thing, starting with an overview of the standings, and man, things have changed a lot. The bottom 4 are still what you'd think they'd be, but the top of North America is insanity. Rather than go backwards after losing Zera, we have Geekay Esports remaining at the top with a perfect 7-0. But that's nothing compared to the lack of Team Liquid and Space Station in the top 2. Instead, we have Nightmare surpassing both of them with a 6-1 stage, throwing everybody for a loop. Now the teams we initially expected to make the LAN are suddenly in grave danger. There's more spots for the taking, but more teams that could get in your way. NA is a goddamn circus over there, and now we're going to talk about why. As we look through the teams, starting at the very bottom, it was tame and as expected. Ducks finished in 8th and unfortunately got relegated. It's a shame too, because I absolutely love their social media personality. I think they're hilarious and absolutely hold nothing back ever, which I can definitely respect. But the sad reality is that we knew this would happen. Much like their counterparts in Frosttails over in EU, they were sorely lacking the firepower and experience to keep up. And unfortunately, this is where their journey's going to end unless they can prove themselves in relegation. Who I was a little bit more surprised to see get relegated so easily was Supernova. I had high hopes that this could potentially be a top 5 team in North America. The talent and the experience were promising, and a good number of these exact players did some noteworthy damage in North America last year. But the results showed exactly why they failed to make it here at the beginning of the year in Stage 1. They could not compete out there. They got smoked almost every single game they played, and they were the only team to even give up a map to the likes of Ducks. That's a pretty unfortunate end for a team that I thought could do a lot better, but for now it's going to be back to the drawing board for both them and Ducks as they go to relegation. Now for the top 6 qualifyees. At 6th, we have Extinction, and they genuinely did pretty well despite what their record might otherwise suggest. The Avidity core from Stage 1 showed their success was no fluke. They took care of business against the weaker end opponents, but also managed to take Nightmare, the number 2 team in the region, to a map 5. This team was rather inconsistent, but the results, like I just mentioned, show that there is at least some kind of upside. I mean, it's pretty hard to not be a fan of the likes of a Zomba, Wub DPS line. I think they're capable of having some really good games. While nobody is expecting anything crazy out of Extinction, it should not come as a surprise if they manage to at least be a part of one banger game before getting eliminated. And being held to a similar light has gotta be Sakura. A 3-4 stage isn't anything to write home about, but they were close to even in the map differential department. The only issue is, unlike Extinction, they did not make a big push against a top team. In that sense, you may even consider them a little bit less capable, but I believe the strength of the roster could suggest otherwise. This team just came together at the start of last month, and they're already top 5 in North America record-wise. They don't have nearly as much practice together as a lot of these other teams, and it goes to show how insanely skilled the individuals on the roster are. Clear is finally starting at tank again, and it's like he's never left, putting up some great numbers while raising the ceiling of the team alongside Peace. This is a team that can thrive in a lot of setups that happen to be fairly relevant in the meta currently. Now it's a matter of hoping that they can find a breakthrough, finding some way to beat or at least push a top 4 team before the end of this playoff for them. The only concerns are, 1, there may be a couple too many holes on this team, but 2, it may be a little too early for this team to make that kind of progress, because again, they are very new. So for now, Sakura are in a situation where they're likable, but you don't quite love them just yet. If Sakura or Extinction want to even consider making a push, it's going to start with trying to take down a primary target, aka Space Station, who got 4th this stage. A notable drop-off in performance out of this group compared to Stage 1, that is for sure. And considering the talent they're fielding, you'd like to see a lot more. They were painfully mid this stage with no quality wins to be found. They went from being obviously one of the best, like clearly top 2 in the region, to not even scratching Liquid, NTMR, or Geekay. Sometimes it felt like we were watching Sugar Free on an island. He'd play out of his mind, clearly being the best player in the entire lobby, just for it to not matter at all. Now, to their credit, Kellen and Bliss, from what I know, at least for part of the stage, were playing on ping from Korea, and that's gonna make some kind of difference, yeah, but like, come on, man. You can't put all the blame on something like that. SSG got outplayed by some better teams, and they still dropped maps or looked sloppy at times against some of the others towards the latter end of the stage. They're a far cry from that domination in Stage 1. It's a whole new game. Maybe it's just me, but SSG don't seem to be adjusting all that well to the change of pace in the current metagame, which is weird to say because none of their players are super inflexible or anything. It's just a playstyle thing. SSG thrive when they can go fast, when they can up the tempo, when Kellen and Sugar Free can get in, ruin the backline, and get out. That's when the team's at their best. And while that's still possible at times, it feels a little too map dependent for my liking. When it's not Winston on control or Ball on Suravasa, they're having a harder time keeping up. And again, it has nothing to do with the flexibility. Kellen can play a wide array of tank heroes, and BAP is certainly not a problem for CJ. I just think with the current team they have that they benefit from a high pace. They have to lean back a bit more on Seeker to find the picks, which can be okay because he is really good, but it's not the strongest style of play for them and it's not their preference by any means. It feels like they're being held back from being unleashed because of the meta. And the slow start with all the other issues obviously isn't helping their case. Now, thankfully for SSG, they still have a couple of chances, and with the level of talent and the experience and maybe some more time to adjust, maybe they'll get back on track and start competing against the teams that they absolutely should, but it's all about taking the leap. Adjustments have been the ultimate challenge for this group, not just this stage, but throughout all of this year so far, and now we have to see if they can put it together in a high-pressure moment in one of the biggest situations of the entire season. It all starts with taking somebody out from the top 3, and right now I'd argue the most vulnerable is probably Liquid. I wouldn't say performance-wise they did much better or worse than Stage 1. Pretty similar, if anything, just with a couple of different battles they're facing. Another third place with some positives and some negatives, feeling like they could have done a bit more along the way. This stage felt like a process of trying to fully integrate Zera into the lineup. In the early weeks, he wasn't all that comfortable, and we'd see him and Knife kind of split some time on stage, but by like the 3rd or 4th week, you could feel a bit of a rhythm start to form, which is promising considering that the losses came around this time or a little bit before. They had a really tough loss to NTMR early on in the stage, and it almost felt like it woke them up in a way. After getting put in the dirt by Rocket and Chronic, they dropped only 3 maps the rest of the way through. I was pleased to see them bounce back after the loss so quickly, and they were able to push Geekay to their limits, going up 2-1 in the series at one point before eventually losing. The best team in the region nearly fell by their hand, and it feels like they're starting to get better and better as time goes on. So in spite of leaving some wins on the table, there's reason to still feel somewhat optimistic, even if they aren't the most perfect in the world in their current state. Knowing how they did against the top dogs, plus there being an extra qualifying spot for the upcoming LAN is pretty ideal, and you know after coming up short in Stage 1 that they're going to be more hungry than ever before, and that probably works to their advantage. And on top of it all, there's a bit of a difference compared to last stage, where this time there's a bit more upside. They don't feel as stuck, not so uncomfortable on like a Mauga hazard setup or Knife getting lost mid-fight, or a lack of planning when the difficulty started to spike. I just don't feel that way about the team right now, at least not as much. Maybe they feel less pressured after what happened in Stage 1, or maybe it's from gaining more experience as a team, more cohesion compared to the last stage. Maybe it's Tree being nasty on Freya plus the added playmaking that Zera provides. Whatever the reason, I feel strangely optimistic knowing that there's an extra spot available for them for the upcoming LAN. Liquid obviously have much to improve upon if they're trying to take home first, but with where they are right now, bare minimum, they have at least some sort of chance. But man, the path is not going to be easy for them or any other North American team, and it's not just because of the usual culprits. NTMR have emerged, and they look scary. Just like with Sakura, this team is relatively new, just forming this stage. It's a mix of a whole bunch of talents who haven't played a lot together before. On paper, the play at every position felt more than adequate to be in the top half of North America, but after what I witnessed in the round robin so far, I almost feel like I insulted them by saying that this is their limit. They weren't just good. At times, they were dominant. SSG and Liquid, the two partner teams of the region, got demolished by them, and with a damn near victory over Geekay as well? God damn. Now, did they also have a scare against Extinction? Yes. Yes, they did. And that's obviously something they need to improve upon. But I'd say that they improved pretty quickly on those issues knowing how they played afterwards. The overall gameplay was better than the flaws. This team nearly went undefeated in their first stage together as a team. No partner status with players that you would initially call top tier either. Just some good, honest Overwatch with some budding stars. Look at Rocket. He's always had it in him to be one of the best out there, but mostly the success hasn't quite translated. He hasn't found the right team. But this stage, by far, he's been one of the best players in North America. Top 5 individually for sure. Just a menace on Tracer, an absolute pest to enemy backlines. Right now, he is stepping up his game big time. He feels like somebody who's ready to transcend into star status. He fears no enemy, and he has held his own against all of the league's best. But it hasn't come without some help, that is for sure, because Painkiller stepped into the tank role, not even knowing if he'd start full time, and now all of a sudden he is one of the best tanks in NA. For every Rocket pop-off, he usually had one of his own, just a crazy space creator that shows no mercy. His rise was completely out of left field, and now NTMR are reaping the benefits. And that's not even considering Chronic either, a guy who's never really gotten enough appreciation in my opinion, and now he's finally getting his shot, and he's making the most of it. He's not letting it go to waste with arguably the best Freya play in the entire region. Seeing him dumpster a player like Tree is insane. When he and Rocket get it going alongside Painkiller, this team is horrifying. NTMR look hella good in the round robin, and they very much feel like a threat to the rest of the region. The only thing that worries me at this point is the experience factor in a big tournament. Outside of Rocket getting second place on Timeless last year in Stage 1, there's not many big accomplishments residing with this team. How do they handle a game when there's so much on the line? Are they going to live for the moment, or will a more experienced core that makes fewer mistakes down the stretch of a game take advantage of them? Needless to say, we should all be watching NTMR with great interest because they're the ones that are going to dictate if we see some madness in this bracket or not. And that leaves us with Geekay, the first place finisher in the qualifier. While it's maybe not an unbreakable hold over the region, they have managed to maintain their spot as the best. Just a couple of months ago, they were the surprise and fun underdog. Now they are the team to beat over here, and all while losing arguably the best individual player from the team one stage prior. Zero was their superstar, the guy who felt like was the reason they made those openings happen in a victory versus Crazy Raccoon. So you'd think that him leaving for a different opportunity would greatly affect this team, but that hasn't really been the case at all. The nucleus of the team was still intact, and clearly that's more important for them. Kuffa, Ultraviolet, Admiral, and Lethal have more than stepped up in Zera's absence, and they managed to find a great replacement in Maimon. While his ceiling as a player isn't necessarily Zera level, he still had a lot of really good games since joining the team while showcasing a very diverse skill set. His previous experience working with this exact set of teammates in Collegiate, except for Ultraviolet, has come in handy. Synergy-wise, this team is incredibly strong, and they've built up a lot of confidence from recent success, plus said domination in Collegiate. This team has a very calming presence about them. This team never panics, even when they're knocked down, and they seem to live for every big moment in front of them, no matter how many times they play in a close game. Geekay is a stupidly clutch team who proved to the world and themselves that things are not the way they used to be. They haven't been perfect. They haven't been untouchable, but through every tough moment, they've persevered. And that can be just as important sometimes as being the super dominant, flashy team, because it shows that you can adapt. They can play fast, they can play slow. They can play the standard or mix it up on you. They can throw Sombra on the mix. Kuffa's Hazard is always something to look out for in any scenario. It's just a well-balanced team where everybody can contribute equally. Geekay are maintaining their spot as favorites 1000% with what we've seen. And that's kind of a summary and my vibe check of all of the Stage 2 qualifiees. Now for the prediction itself. Who am I gonna curse? I'm going out on a limb here in my pre-recording by saying that Geekay is picking SSG as their first round opponent just because they have been the weakest of the opponents available for selection, so it would probably make the most sense. As for the results, I've got Geekay, of course, getting first place after gassing them up so much, and I do have them beating Team Liquid in the finals, with NTMR getting third. I don't know about 2 and 3, but I think Geekay should be a very confident lock-in for most people to make top 3 bare minimum. And I'm not even trying to be boring and be a front runner or anything. They just straight up have all the qualities that make for a good champ. They just did it last stage, and now they aren't even underdogs anymore. Could that maybe make them a little too comfortable, leading to some slip-ups? I mean, it's possible, yeah. But again, anytime this team has been challenged, especially in NA, they've stepped up. Geekay plays with confidence, and they don't have a lot of huge weaknesses that can be easily exploited in any place. And of course, they are the most clutch team in all of the West in my opinion, and it's probably not close. Multiple playstyle suits this team, and they have so many less problems compared to some of these other NA teams that we've spoken of. They're built to stay in the driver's seat even when they're down in a series. This core of players has won so much recently, and the way they've played in OWCS has them peaking in their careers. They have experience over NTMR, adaptability over SSG, and stamina over Liquid. This is the year of Geekay, and I am fully ready to embrace it no matter who they face. The rest of the equation is a blank canvas though. We can safely rule out Sakura and Extinction, I believe, just because their rosters don't quite match up with these others, but NTMR, SSG, and Liquid are all fighting for 2 spots. Somebody's gonna miss the mark. And right now, at least to me, that feels like SSG. And it is very hard for me to say that, by the way. It's difficult for me to say a team of this caliber with the players they have are not making a LAN out of North America. I wanted to cope in just about every way possible because, I mean, how on earth could Lenny not make a LAN? That sounds illegal these days, but I just can't get myself to do it. They've been clearly outclassed by Liquid, NTMR, and Geekay, and the gameplay has been lackadaisical. Can an extra week really change that? As bright as the stars of SSG can be, the team element is bringing them down. Adaptability concerns are very real. It just can't be sugar-free saving the day over and over again. It's not going to cut it. There's got to be something else, and right now, I'm not convinced they have that thing. The meta is not where they want it, and there's some clear frustration. They need more speed, and they can't show it across the entirety of a series. Liquid and NTMR may not be unbeatable powerhouses, but there's a higher level of competence being demonstrated when I watch them. Liquid are super susceptible to upsets, but I think a lot of momentum was established in recent weeks thanks to their performance against Geekay, and Zera becoming more situated with the team, and NTMR have shown they can dominate good teams and fight back against great ones. They're hungry to win right now, and in recent memory, a lot of teams in the same situation, the new kids on the block if you will, have managed to find success. We got to embrace the new era here. Now, admittedly, in the back of my mind, like I was saying earlier, I'm a little concerned about the experience factor with NTMR. I hope that they're built for this because if they fail to win in round 1, I think things will take a big time turn for the worst. I believe if they lose in round 1, they're probably just not making the LAN. I don't know if they're built for it or not. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they probably somehow beat Liquid in like a close game in the upper bracket, but then when the run back happens, then they're going to lose. Liquid are going to make the appropriate adjustments, and their experience and talent will lead them to a win. At least I hope so. That's kind of just my Liquid cope going for me. But honestly, just about anything can happen, and I think a lot of it has to do with SSG and how they perform. If they play up to what they're capable of, they could even beat Geekay theoretically, and that would really destroy the bracket. But again, right now, I don't know if I trust them to do such a thing. I am assuming that Geekay picked them as well, so I guess we'll see what happens there. NA feels very highly unpredictable in its current state, and I'm super excited to see the final outcome. Like, genuinely, I think any of the 4 teams that I've been glazing in this video have a chance at it, but I'm going to stick with Nightmare, Liquid, and Geekay for now, and we'll see what happens, I guess. On that note, that's going to do it for my NA Playoffs prediction video. Let me know your thoughts down below. I appreciate y'all watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.